It's fascinating. So my structure of how I built my portfolio is I started with Bitcoin, moved into Ethereum, switched most of my Bitcoin into Ethereum. And then I built a basket of alternatives, and I just took an equally weighted basket of like 10 large cap because I don't know. Then I watched it. I added Solana at some point into that and didn't do anything else. Just left it like that. What's fascinating is my second largest holding now from an equally weighted basket, second to Ethereum, Sandbox. I haven't bought any. It just went up 20x in the last month and a half, which is crazy. I mean, I would not have my second largest. I would not take that position, the second largest position in Sandbox, but that's where it is. And I'm not rebalancing for the time being. I'm just letting this phase play out and see where these things go. So yes, it's a mix. And so I've got some DeFi protocols, the usual Aave and whatever, stuff like Uniswap. And then I've got stuff like Polkadot, just all the stuff you'd expect. Nothing interesting. It gets interesting because I put metaverse bets on 6 months ago. Those things exploded, Decentraland and Sandbox. And I have some social token bets with Chiliz and Rally. So those are slightly different because they're more macro thematic bets of what I think future things are. But it's hard now with Sandbox because it's gone up so much. It's like, do I have enough conviction to have my second largest position in this? Bitcoin's adoption is relentless for different reasons. It's a great balance sheet asset. It's a savings asset. It's a long-term vehicle. It has that, incredible qualities to it. And I think adoption just continues relentlessly over time. So I don't see any change to that whatsoever, even if the layer 2 doesn't really take off, even if they don't build smart contracts on it, I don't think it matters. I think Bitcoin has its value proposition and people are pretty comfortable with it. And it's very different to Ethereum. It stands in its own and it's universally accepted for what it is. It's gigantic. It's a global change of business model. That's what it is. And financial architecture and system. We haven't done that in one go before. That's ludicrously big. So yes, it is one of those moments in time that we're lucky to be alive because we're witnessing absolute history in the making and we can be part of it. And that's why I refer to this as the largest or new distribution of wealth in all history is happening in front of our eyes.
Let's talk about US crypto regulations.
We've got a fight and it has to happen. And the fight is a generational shift between those who grew up with the securities laws of the 1930s and the old system, which, let's face it, has failed for everybody. And there is a young generation who wants to own these assets because it's the only asset with the kind of upside that they need to build wealth. Because with equities at all-time highs, bonds, all-time low yields, high valuations, credit, there's real estate. I mean, everything makes it almost impossible for a 30-year-old to generate long-term future expected returns in the same way that their parents had. So crypto's it. If you are going to try and take that away from the young people, you have to remember that they're the largest voting group. And if you're going to take away their future opportunity to invest and save. So I think it's a generational battle, and I think it will be a grand compromise. I think Gary Gensler has laid down the hard line because that's how you negotiate. You start with a tough line because he's the school teacher. He's saying you will not do that and we will prosecute all of you. Everybody else says just leave us alone, let us run free, let us do whatever we want. The answer will be a grand compromise, and it has to be a new set of laws called, let's say, the Digital Asset Law of 2025. But we've got time before we get there because we've got to have this fight first. And they have to realize that there is no political will to fight this. That's got to happen.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
And Raoul, do you think some of this is the incumbents who are getting disrupted? A lot of the banks, a lot of money is leaving savings accounts, going into stable coins, yield farming, staking, all of that. And we know how political campaign donations work and the power of these banks and financial institutions, legacy ones at least, have on Washington, D.C. Do you think it's a bit of that and they're trying to slow down crypto as much as possible?
Of course it is. Everybody's trying to apply the brakes because everybody knows it's moving at lightning speed. Don't forget, this is the fastest adoption of any technology in all recorded human history. It's being adopted at twice the speed of the internet at exactly the same size of market. And everybody's terrified. They're also building, Goldman Sachs got a crypto unit. Everyone's got crypto units that they know where it's going, but they want to slow it because they want to participate in it. But it's happening in this dispersed, decentralized manner that is so impossible to keep control of. So yes, fear does come into it. And they'll be saying, you need to stop these crypto people. They're speculating. So what does that mean? What it means is, well, it should only go to those people who can afford to, and it should be via advisors. They want to be the gatekeeper. Their job is to be the gatekeeper. That's how they get paid. There's no gatekeeper in crypto. And they desperately want to assert themselves as a gatekeeper in the middle to get some slice of that pie. But that's not what this space is about, and everybody knows it. For me, and I refer to it a lot, this is a fourth turning moment. These things will not survive.
Wow. So do you see in the future, as a result of DeFi and crypto and all these different financial instruments built on it, we won't need banks? We can borrow and lend from decentralized entities?
Yes, but that's not happening instantly. We need banks because they currently know us better. Once more of our life is on blockchain and it can be verified, it's actually pretty easy to lend in a lower risk way. Also, it's pretty useful to have relationships in banking. If you're a small farmer, you want to bank with a local bank that understands agricultural issues, stuff like that. So I think that matters. But I don't see any purpose for money center banks in the middle of the US, for example. They're just not going to survive this. The investment banks, they supply wholesale liquidity and advice to navigate the system. That's not going away for a while, and they understand this game very well. They've dealt with new product disruptions like derivatives. They know how this works. So I don't fear for the investment banks. I do fear for the smaller money center banks.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon, click on the link now. I'll see you there.